Hey, GunsmithBeard here, and this is the last gun video of the year. It's really good to see you guys and girls. I hope everybody has a wonderful Christmas, and I understand I'm filming this on Christmas Eve, taking just a few minutes to do a video for you guys and kind of say, I had a great year thanks to you guys. It's been awesome to meet each and every one of you in the comments section and talk about guns. It's a lot of fun. I get a lot of enjoyment and joy out of that. And so I've had a great year, and it's all because of you. We started with very little subscribers, and I started just doing videos and talking about guns, and a lot of you have joined. I know that in the last few days we had over 900 subscribers, and to a big channel that probably doesn't mean anything really, but to me it does, because each and every one of you are giving me the most precious thing you have, and that's time. And you're watching my videos, and we're having a relationship in the comment section where we're actually getting to talk guns and learn about each other, and that's just fun. So I greatly appreciate your time and all the things that you do and support this channel. It means the world to me. So I wanted to take the time to thank you, and also wish you guys a great Christmas and a great New Year. A big thank you to our channel supporters, BROWNELLS, SWAMPFOX Optics, and Shooter Innovations. As always, they've been wonderful to deal with this year, and I can't wait for next year and what we can do, what new things we can talk about and build and discuss, and it's going to be new. Anything new is kind of exciting, so, and scary, I guess, but for me it's just more exciting. So let's talk about the gun of the week. We'll take a quick look at it. I'll do some B-roll for you guys to see it, and we'll talk about a gun that I built from the scratch, from just an action and a barrel blank and a chunk of wood, and I made it into what you're going to see in just a few seconds. All right, take a look, and we'll come back and talk about it. Alright guys and girls, welcome back. So let's talk about this custom CZ-550, which is in 30-06. It has a 26-inch barrel, and you might notice that it is completely custom, and you would not be wrong. It is a custom stock that I hand carved by hand. It is a beautiful custom hand-selected barrel from Schillen that I turned on a lathe. Literally every bit of this is completely custom. So we're going to talk about a lot of the details in just a second, but let's talk about the heart of this gun, which is this beautiful CZ-550 standard action. And so the CZ-550 was originally designed as a hunting series because a lot of guys wanted to take the safari action. So there's a standard action, which is what this one is. It's the 550 standard, and then, or medium, and then they have the super mag or the magnum series, which would be the CZ-550 safari action. And so a lot of guys use that for hunting. Obviously the safari went to big game and South Africa and like those kind of places, and a lot of elephant guns were made out of that action. It has a blind box, so when you rotate the bolt back, there is a follower to spring, and you hand load the rounds into that box, and then you load them in by operating the bolt. So you might have guessed that this action mirrors or was designed off of the Mauser 98, and you would be absolutely correct. It is completely based off of that action. Doesn't mean it's exactly like it, but it's very, very similar in concept and in design. So because it's a 98 clone, like a lot of guys call it, it is 100% control fed bolt action it does have that system kind of already in place. The 30-06, you could do 308, you could do a lot of different 30 cal calibers. And in the Safari action, I think the biggest and the largest one that was ever tested was that 600 Overkill. And I haven't shot that, but I know a couple guys that have gone that far with elephant guns, and they said it was insanely crazy to shoot because the felt recoil was just outstanding. And I don't know that I would use or shoot something like that without putting a muzzle brake on it to tame some of that recoil. I guess it's worth the ride, you know, a one-time thing. I wouldn't want to shoot that repeatedly. Plus, all that pressure and all that stress, calibers that have such high pressures, shooting it a lot, it cooks out that barrel. And so you're going to have to swap barrels eventually, because that's a lot of pressure to put on anything, and your barrels won't last forever. So they tend not to. So you will end up having to get another barrel and replacing it. All right, so let's talk about the bolt and the bolt body really quick. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this out of the action, and there is a button right here that you can press, and it allows you to pull the bolt all the way out of the action relatively easily. So this bolt body is what they considered a 3-lug. So if you look at the bolt, it's a 3-lug design. The bolt face is a 2-lug. You can kind of see that with this humongous extractor on the end. Just a really good designed bolt. And the firing pin and the firing pin spring and the design of the bolt is really, really nice. I will say that this design, or this bolt body, the handle itself, the bolt handle, is completely welded and put into place. It's a solid piece. So a lot of guns, especially bolt action guns, they have removable or interchangeable bolt handles, like a Saka, or Seika, depends on how you say it or where you're from. They have a way to change out the bolt handles without having to modify or weld or heat up and fabricate the bolt handle itself. So that's just one of those things that if you get one of these, just know if you're wanting to change the bolt handle to an oversized, or you want to do something fancy with it, you're probably going to have to cut it, thread it, and then turn down whatever handle or bolt handle you want to put on it, or the little ball on. If you're going to do fabrication, you're going to have to do some work, which is, a lot of guys did that. When I was in school, they had old Mausers and they wanted to fabricate the bolt handle itself. They had to do a lot of work. I've even had guys I see, they would heat it up and then put twist in the bolt handle. So just know that if you're going to do that, you're going to put a lot of work into getting that done. It's not as easy as some of the other platforms that are out there. So you might notice too that on this action there is a big hole in the side of the action. And you might guess, what is that? Is that a safety feature, or is that something that I need to plug? Does it let out water? Like, what is it? What does it do? So that is a large gas relief hole. And so if you're not familiar with bolt actions, they have a lot of pressure. So this, some guys call it a weeping hole. This is a pressure hole. So let's say you are hand loading and you didn't get something right and you have catastrophic failure. Catastrophic failure in a casing could mean the primer actually blows out the back, or the case separates or cracks because the pressure is too much, or your riflesmith or the barrel company that you got the barrel with didn't set the head spacing right, so you had catastrophic failure. So if I put this up to my cheek, you'll notice I'm a right-hand shooter, and that relief or pressure hole is on the side facing away from my face. So if you have catastrophic failure, this will relieve a lot of that pressure, or blow it out the side of that hole, so your whole action doesn't literally blow up in your face. You have a safety feature with that hole to let a lot of that pressure out before you're exposed to that kind of risk in mind. So if you are a reloader and you're going to test out some wildcat cartridges that you want to try or you want to experiment, this might be a safety feature if you do have catastrophic failure that would absolutely benefit you, because if you're going to do testing, that's inherently dangerous. So this should help you keep safe. As you saw earlier, there is a button to release the bolt, so you just press it with your thumb and then the bolt comes out the back of the action. The biggest thing I like about this and hate about this is if you've ever disassembled a CZ-550, it has a lot of parts and even has, I think, 2 little ball bearings that you will easily lose because they're tiny. And this trigger is one of those things that it's a love-hate relationship. When you start setting it, because it does have a lot of set screws to kind of tweak the poundage from single stage to set stage, that can be an absolute nightmare. I know of 2 or 3 guys when we were building these together, we all had 550s, is the trigger would not reset. They had to send it back to CZ and they gave us another trigger. We were having a lot of problems with them to get them where we wanted, but I know when I finally got mine to the sweet spot that I liked, it is phenomenal for what it is. I do think there are better triggers than the factory CZ set trigger or single stage set trigger, but the one I have, just to give you kind of a reference between poundage, so the single stage, which means like if I, and it is unloaded, just so you know, when you squeeze off the trigger, this is single stage and it's very light because I set it that way. So on single stage, the poundage of that is 2.17 pounds. And so I'll show you the set part of the trigger. For set triggers, you push them forward and you'll hear a click or feel a click. And then when you pull this, the set part of this trigger is set at 11 ounces, which is super light. So just barely touch and it goes off. And it is pretty crisp and clean. Like I said, I think there are better triggers out there for the CZ-550s now. Granted, when I built this, it was probably about 7 years ago. And the market is always growing and improving. So there are, I'm sure, better triggers out than what's in here now. But this is the factory trigger and factory setup for the trigger. So that might be something later on. If you have a 550 like this one or a 550 Safari and you want a different trigger, I know there's a couple out there, and so we might change that out at a later date. But to be honest, right now it's a pretty good trigger. I don't know that I would do that because I have it kind of set where I like it, and it's decent. So the other part, like we said, I started with an action, a barrel blank, and a piece of wood. The barrel blank was a beautiful 416R stainless button barreled by Schillen. If you're not familiar with Schillen, Schillen's been making barrels for a long time out of Texas, and they are a top tier barrel company, I think. And after I bought 2 blanks from them, and this one, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the action, I don't know if it's my handiwork or just the luck of the draw, this one is a sub MOA gun at 100 yards, and to be honest, at even 200 or 300 yards, it shoots really well. It just shoots really well. You can stack or even shoot in the same hole with this gun, and I love to get this back out and actually show you on camera how well this thing shoots, because when I first started putting groups with this gun, I was like, holy cow, this is almost like Olympic grade. This thing can shoot, and I'm not the best shooter. I'll go ahead and be honest. I'm not a professional shooter. I know there's people that can run circles around me. I'm a gunsmith, not really a professional shooter, even though I love to shoot. But this barrel is a really good barrel. And again, it's 26 inches stainless steel and a matte finish. I did the finish too. It would look right. I think maybe if it was blued, or nitrided, since it's stainless, it's harder to blue stainless, but you can do it. A black finish may look a little better than the stainless or this two-tone thing that's going on. But again, I was under a lot of time restraints to do it exactly the way I wanted, but this still came out, in my opinion, absolutely stunning. So I did target crown. I don't know if this will zoom or not on the crown itself. That has a 11-degree profile target crown on it. And for something like this, I think that is absolutely perfect. If I had to do it again, I would thread it and then put a target crown on it. That would be the perfect way to do it. And maybe even do a muzzle brake that is turned down to the barrel diameter so it looks like it's part of the barrel and you can't tell it's not part of the barrel when you thread it on. I've done that a couple times and that really is pretty if you do it correctly. So the other part of this is this piece of wood. So when I got it, I had a one-piece rifle stock class, and you basically kind of order your blank or what grade walnut you want, and you try to be somewhat selective over the grains and how beautiful it is. You try to get the best piece of wood you can, and you do start from a very large block of wood, and then you kind of draw out the design roughly on that piece of wood, and then you start cutting it. So you take a bandsaw and kind of cut, leaving a little bit of error, the kind of the shape of this one. And so another thing I installed on the stock was sling mounts, and these have the cups that have quick detach swivel studs that will go into the cups and lock. I have one in the back and then obviously one in the front. One of the things that I could have done is put a Picatinny on the bottom, and I was like, I'm not going to do that because it was so pretty I didn't want to mess it up. So I kind of kept it somewhat simple. One of the things you might notice is on the grip itself right here is a piece of brass with the head stamp on it. And the story behind that is the first time you get to shoot something that you made and test it for the first time and pray it works and you don't have catastrophic failure or anything going on, it's a magical moment when it does. And so this is the casing that I cut and inletted and put into the grip. This is the first round ever fired in this gun. And so it's a custom made gun that I did from start to finish, and I wanted something special to put in it. So I'm like, I had the casing, and I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just take this to the bandsaw, cut it, drill a hole, inlet this into the stock. It just seems like the perfect way to, the cherry on top, so to speak, of this build and how it turned out, and how impressed I was of how nice it really turned out. And yes, it is a really, really pretty gun, and it's not just because of the work gone into it. It's just a nice gun to have anyway, and now that it's something that I made from start to finish, it just really is a nice gun. The finish that I put on this is a linseed oil hand rub finish. It's very glossy. You can see the tigering in the wood grains in the back. It's just a really pretty piece of wood that I was, lucky to get. And then I spent a lot of time rubbing linseed oil into the wood and getting it this really glossy, glassy feel like you would see on like a Browning. But it just turned out really well. I had to whisk the wood, which means when you first start putting and sanding, you will wet the wood and the fibers will kind of stand up. And then as you're sanding, it will kind of knock those fibers back, and you keep doing that process. So when you touch the wood without a finish on it, it actually feels smooth. And so then you really start stacking hand rub finishes, really getting it into the grain of the wood, and it comes out really pretty if you take your time. And we're kind of cheating too, because there's like ways to make the linseed oil dry quicker with Jap Dry or acetone to kind of get those layers in quicker. There's a lot of tricks that you can do to get the finish in the wood, and you're not having to wait a long time for each finish to dry, which can be kind of excessive. But the woodworking and stuff that went into this, I just had a lot of fun doing it because I was creating what I really wanted and making it all look good. But as always, when you start inletting a stock, inletting is actually making all the cuts so the action and the barrel all sit down, and then also relieving it enough so if you want to bed it, you can. And so not only did I inlet everything, top and bottom. You have to inlet this too. I had to then go back and leave me just a little bit of space, maybe like 10 thousandths to 15 thousandths of an inch, to put some bedding compound. And the bedding compound that I used was Acroglass. You can buy it at Brownells. It's a really, really good product. It also stiffens up the stock, but it also trues the surface. So when your action sits down, it sits correctly in the action. You don't have a weird torquing issue. And a lot of times in stocks, especially wood stocks, you might have some issues with torque when you tighten down the action screws, like the ones on the bottom that basically pull the action down into the stock. You might have some issues, but to be honest, bedding in action, I know the military did that for a very, very long time. The Marine Corps might still be doing that. I'm not sure if they went to complete chassis now or not, but at Camp Perry, there was a lot of money that the military spent on bedding rifles. So I used Acroglass. I completely bedded mine from full barrel channel to back of action, and then the bottom metal was also bedded so it fits perfectly. So again, a lot of time went into custom building this rifle. I think from start to finish, I probably have about 6 months of work on this one gun. So that's why I say it's really, really special to put all that kind of work into something and then see dividends at the very end with it all working really nicely. But I wanted to share this really special rifle with you guys. It is the holidays, and sharing something that means a lot to me with you guys is something I absolutely can't wait. This is my present to you guys. It was definitely a present to myself and even my dad when I finished this, because I ended up giving this to my father as a gift, because I had a couple rifles that I did, custom rifles, and this is one of the ones that I spent a lot of time. I even have 2 stocks for this one action, but this is the one that it sits in, this beautiful walnut. But again, it's always a pleasure to spend time and sit down and talk with you guys. As always, I'll catch you in the next video, and just remember, work hard, God first. See you next year. I guess worst canary, when you do it. Another thing that I did is I installed a 1/2 inch quick disc. So another thing I installed is these. It was getting the bloopers. Let's try that again.